The points I want to bring up is pattern reveal truths. Now, everyone has a typical pattern. However, it is up to her to regulate those emotions as closely as possible. Validation makes total sense, but your worth isn't dependent on her validation. Right? If you think she's not cheating, think again, the harsh truths about relationships. Today, I'm going to share with you some hard-hitting truth about relationships and really things that most men overlook. This isn't about being cynical, but it's about being aware and realistic based on my own experiences. The way she acts around you isn't as always unique as it seems. Now, one of the points I want to bring up is pattern reveal truths. Now, everyone has a typical pattern of things that typically happen, and people usually run that pattern over and over and over again. They typically don't break a cycle, and it's really rare. So remember, how she does one thing is how she does everything. So if she claims that she's never been in a relationship for years or has strict values, take caution. It doesn't always mean that she's lying, but don't be blindsided by words alone. Understand that actions speak louder than words, and if she does certain things for you, it's likely she's done them for others too. So it doesn't diminish the value that she brings to you, but remind you that you're not the exception to the rule. Watch out for inconsistencies. This is actually really important because there's a lot of inconsistencies that might happen. Inconsistencies about her past, inconsistencies about relationships she's had, inconsistencies about places she's been, and a lot of the times isn't things that you're asking. It's a lot of times that things that she will reveal to you and you don't even ask. You may not ask or care how many relationships she's been in, or when the last time her relationship was, or trips that she's been on, any of those things. But she might reveal them to you completely on her own, and those may not always be the truth. Now, a couple other things too. If she's disappeared for hours without explanation, or if she's emotionally volatile or hard to read. Now, women's moods will naturally fluctuate over the month, over the time, but it's essential that they can regulate those shifts. So what tends to happen is stories tend to change, again, based on their mood. Now, again, this isn't all the time, but this is what, again, from my own personal experience. So sometimes you got to watch for those inconsistencies. One thing she says versus another thing she says. And again, watch what she does and actions as well. Now, if you find yourself in a state of confusion or wondering what's happening in her life, you're in for a mentally exhausting ride. Again, you have to be a man and you have to be able to understand her moods throughout the period of the month. What's happening within her life emotionally. She will change. Sometimes she'll be a completely different person, and it's up to you to be able to help ride those waves and be that emotional stability in her life. However, it is up to her to regulate those emotions as closely as possible. If it's a wild roller coaster ride, it's going to be even harder for you to manage those, and you may end up in lots of fights. And that's another thing too. How often do you guys fight when you're together versus not together, right? And then what periods of time do that happen? Does that happen? And you have to be able to document that. Does it usually happen at a certain time of the month? Does it always happen? Does it happen when you guys are around or not around? When does it happen? Another thing is, a phone behavior is telling. Is her phone always on do not disturb when she's with you? Does she quickly turn over her phone or keep it hidden? I understand that everyone deserves their privacy, but this could be a sign of concealing something, especially the do not disturb. Who is it that she's trying to hide? Or what is it she's trying to hide if she's always on do not disturb? And again, when this happens, you never want to reach out in anger when you uncover these behaviors. Recognize that the secrecy can happen. It's human nature, but you have the power to be able to how you handle that. Anger and frustration is the last thing that you want. You just have to understand what it is, and that's it. Don't bring it out. Don't call her out on it. Don't say, hey, why do you always have do not disturb? Just understand what is going on. Now, I mentioned about this, talking about her past. A lot of times, they may reveal things about her past that you don't even ask. And again, you may not even care when the last time her relationship was, but then she'll tell you, my relationship was 2 years ago, 4 years ago. I haven't had a boyfriend in years. I'm celibate, right? They'll say those things. I don't have sex before marriage, right? You have to understand what those clues are, what they're telling you. Again, actions versus words. What is it that she's saying? I only date for marriage, right? So those are things that you want to be able to take in as words and then relaying back what are those actions that she's taking. They're very important. She frequently brings up guys from her past or ones who hit on her, for example. Ask yourself, why? What about the guys she hasn't mentioned, right? There might be more that meets the eye. That's all I'm saying. And again, the goal is to bring awareness, and that is simply it. Understand that everyone has a history, has a past, and that's okay. But how much she chooses to reveal or conceal can be telling. What is she telling you and what is she not telling you? And again, at the end of the day in the relationship, you are the leader of your life. You have the control of where the relationship goes. You could decide to continue the relationship with this woman. You could decide to not choose a relationship with this person. You could choose to move move forward or not. You are in complete control of this. So that's why you can't be so frustrated or angry about the whole situation. And if you are, you just need to stop immediately. And that's it. That's why you should never be upset or angry at that individual, because that's just who they are. Why would you be upset about someone for being who they are? That's on you if you continue that relationship. It's really simple. But you also have to, another consideration. If you're a parent and you just got divorced and you have kids, what are the impact of your kids? You have to consider the relationship has on them. Are you a better father or man when she's not around or when she is around? Does she bring out the worst in you? Do you ever lash out at your kids because you're frustrated with her? Think about your emotions and what it brings. And then is it affecting other areas of your life? Is it affecting your work, your job, your relationship with your kids, your parents? What is it? No person is worth that. At the end of the day, those kids will be with you. Your parents will be with you for the rest of your life. And they're the only ones that will truly love you no matter what, because they're your blood. So you have to make them always a priority. And you can let them know too, who you're with, that your kids are a priority and they're part of your life. And they're going to be there no matter what. You can't just get rid of them. You can't just leave them. You can't just abandon them for what? For another person? Doesn't make any sense. They're your offspring. They're your blood. You want them to grow. That's how your lineage continues. Your bloodline continues. Do you want your bloodline to be strong, or do you want your bloodline to die off? It's entirely up to you and how you raise your kids. So a healthy relationship should bring stability, not constant turmoil. Now reflect on this. Again, really dynamic at adding value in your life, or is it distracting from your life? Is it distracting from your work? Is it all you can think about? These are things that need to be thought about and discussed. A couple of things, and mention this. Evaluate how often you fight versus how often you connect. It's natural to have disagreements, and they happen all the time. You fight, you argue, you understand, you communicate, great. But if you're spending more time arguing than enjoying each other's company, that might be a sign for something. And you have to pause and reflect and think about that. Observe the little things. Is she genuinely supportive, or does she only do nice things when she wants something? How is she around your kids? Actions, especially consistent ones. Remember, it's consistent. Reveal more than her attentions than grand gestures. Now, there's a saying that you could fool someone for a certain period of time, but you can't fool everyone all the time. Meaning that for a certain period of time, sure, someone could pretend to be someone who they're not. And it's easy to do that. But after long periods of time, people tend to revert back to who they truly are. And you have to pay very close attention to what that is. Who is that individual? That's why you never want to get married so quickly. You meet someone 1 month, you get married to them next month, 6 months, even a year. Then what? You don't truly understand who that person is, or their background, their history. Their history speaks about everything. And again, I was in finance for over a decade, right? They say past performance does not indicative of future results, right? However, past performance gives you a bird's eye view of what potentially could happen. The S&P 500 generally has gone up, and it generally will go up because that's what's happened before in the past. Same thing with history. Now, when she tells you she doesn't want you involved in her history, doesn't want you knowing about her history, you gotta think why? Why doesn't she want me to know? What's in that history that is so important that they don't want me to know about it? You gotta think about yourself. Are you hiding your history? Is there something that you're afraid of that you don't want to reveal? If not, and you've shared it, then why can't the other individual share as well? What is it that they're hiding? Maybe they're not hiding anything. It's very possible. However, if someone is so adamant about their history, then one has to think, well, what is going on? Now, another thing you have to understand as a man, your worth isn't dependent on her validation. And again, if I'm talking to you and you're listening to me, you've been married, you're divorced, you have kids, you haven't been married, you've been married for so long, you may not have been on a date for a long time. You may not have been in a relationship sometime. And maybe even your identity has been your marriage. So validation makes total sense, but your worth isn't dependent on her validation. Remember, you're not at her mercy. You have a choice to walk away if the relationship does not align with your values and goals or happiness. So at the end of the day, guys, this is all about being aware and making informed decisions. Don't be blindsided by the illusion of perfection or promise that don't really match your reality. Don't get so caught up with the affection, with the sex, that you forget about what is really happening right in front of you. You have the power to direct your life where it goes. So choose wisely. You want to stand true to yourself, and never forget the value isn't defined by others' actions. The value is what you bring. Hey, before you go, let me share something really exciting for you. If you're looking to transform your email management into a powerful lead generation tool, my company, Cultivate Inbox, has got you covered. We've helped industry leaders like Pace Morby, Jamil Damji, and Ty Lopez amplify their outreach and grow their businesses. If you're ready to turn your inbox into a lead generation machine, please don't hesitate. Go to my website or book a call with me and discover how to unlock your email's full potential. So don't miss out and take your email game to the next level. Thank you again for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.